Hi everyone, welcome to our live stream today. It's great to see everyone. It is just so much fun to show up here on Mondays in the chat. A lot of you I know are showing up a half hour, even an hour early. I usually try and get here about a quarter till 12, but it is just so much fun to see everybody encouraging each other. I mean, that's what we're here for, to really grow our own food, grow our own organic vegetables in our own backyards, whether we're growing in ground, in containers, whatever it is, and just encourage each other and support each other along the way. And I'm so happy to have people here from all over the US, all over the world. I think the farthest away so far is in Saudi Arabia. So welcome so much. Someone else is here from Denmark, Georgia. We have people from Arizona, from Southern California, like I am here. Learn to Grow is here from the Pacific Northwest. And I'm just really happy to see you guys. Today, I have some super exciting news to share with you in just a moment. And we're also going to talk about 4 mistakes that are very common in container gardening and hopefully provide some feedback and some help if you've been making those mistakes or have made them in the past. So before we get to our exciting news, I want to read the Viewer of the Week. Now, if you join me here every week, you know that I try to pull a comment from YouTube or from Instagram and read it and just highlight someone whose comment really inspired me. So this week's comment comes from Helen Nelson, and she commented on the Spring Garden series, the seed starting video, which we posted a couple of weeks ago. And I love this comment. Let me read it. I'll tell you why I like it so much. Helen says, "Hello, CaliKim and cameraman. I'm from down under." She's from Australia. It's so exciting. "And we'll be following your late summer and fall videos as we're in reverse season-wise," which I think that's really fun to hear from people all over the world. "I so enjoy watching you and have learned so much. I'm also trying to incorporate companion planting in my garden as well." It's a great idea. "I have already made some errors in my confusion, but hey, we live and learn. Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. I keep rewatching and hope that the info will sink in. Blessings." And guys, the reason why I love this so much is because she's just digging right in. She's experimenting. She's made some mistakes, but she's learning from her mistakes and is going for it. So I think that's absolutely fabulous. I always say experiment in the garden. Never be afraid to try something new, try something different, grow something new, and you never know what you're going to learn along the way. So Helen, thank you so much for leaving me that comment. And I really hope you just keep on learning and keep on watching and sharing together. So yeah, guys, let me just explain. CameraGuy, if you guys haven't watched my channel before, he is the one that films our videos. He does appear on some of the videos as well. And he's also happens to be my husband. So it's pretty fun. We have a lot of fun out in the garden together, filming and learning and just doing all kinds of fun stuff, creating new content for you guys. So it's all about growing your own food, having fun along the way. Now to my exciting announcement. A lot of you have been asking for something for a couple of months now, and we put a I guess full speed ahead rush on this to get this to you guys in time for the spring garden growing season. And any guesses what the announcement is? 'Cause I know a lot of you have asked me about it, emailed me about it, asked me about it in videos. Any guesses? All right, well, I'm just gonna tell you guys, super excited to announce that we have a kids garden seed collection now. It is live right now on my website. I've already actually had one order before I even posted one single thing about it. So Luz, I think you're on here. Thank you so much for your order this morning. So this is an amazing collection. So many of you I know like to garden with your kids, and I absolutely love that. To get out there and share the love of growing your own veggies with your kids, teach them where food comes from, and teach them how to grow their own veggies themselves and get excited about gardening. So I'm so excited about this collection. We actually designed it to go with the purple smart pots. So some of you have already ordered this brand new purple smart pots as well. And this is a wonderful growing container. It's got a really nice bright pop of color. It has like 3 feet of growing space. It's a really fun container for kids to grow in. So let me just share with you guys what's in this fantastic little collection. And I actually designed it very specifically for kids to be fun, to be colorful. For the varieties, I chose varieties that would grow quickly. And let me just share with you what we have. We have a Royal Burgundy purple bush bean, which is a lot of fun. I actually planted some up in this pot right here. So it'll go really nicely with the purple smart pots, and beans grow really, really fast. And these are gonna be so much fun for your kids to grow. And the next one is Little Marvel Peas, which is awesome. It's a small, compact variety of peas. And by the way, these are all container-friendly varieties, except for one of them. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But these do absolutely wonderful in a container. They're a little bit more of a compact plant, so you'll love growing these peas. Your kids will love it too. And I love these little finger carrots. Let me know if you guys have grown these before, because these are really fun. They mature really early. They're little 4-inch carrots. So the kids really love growing these and picking them. You can harvest them in about 6 weeks or so. And then, oh, I'll save that one for last, one of my favorites. This prize head lettuce. This is literally my favorite kind of lettuce. I have it growing right back here. It's colorful. It's got a little purplish, reddish tinge to the leaves. So your kids are gonna love growing this lettuce. And then one more, these are so much fun. These are actually new to me. They're called Easter egg radishes. Oh, Marcella, I'm so glad to hear your kids love harvesting little finger carrots. They're so much fun. Marcella is from Learn to Grow. She has a wonderful YouTube channel as well, so please check her out. The Easter egg radishes, these are really fun. It's a little radish mix. It has purple radishes, red radishes, there's another color in there I can't remember, and also some white radishes. So these are gonna be really fun. I actually planted some of those radishes last week. You can see they're coming up right here, and radishes are so much fun because they come up so quickly. These I planted I think a couple weeks ago, and they're already coming up. And radishes are a ball because you can harvest them when the weather is right in about 4 weeks or so. And last but not least, the last seed here, the 6th seed in the kid seed collection, is a black oil sunflower. Now these aren't necessarily container friendly, but I thought it would be really fun for kids to plant sunflowers out in the garden because they do grow fast. And these are about a 7 to maybe 8 or 9 foot sunflower. They're really big, and you can harvest your own sunflower seeds from them, or you can leave them out for the birds so the birds don't bother your tomatoes and things like that. So anyway, guys, pick one up over at CaliKimGardenandHome.com right now. They come with, or you can actually purchase the seed pack by itself. It's $9.95, I think, or $9.50. I think it's $9.95. Or you can purchase it with the purple smart pots. You can purchase the purple smart pots in a 1-pack or a 3-pack with seeds, without seeds. So there's all kinds of fun little combinations there. So check it out, CaliKimGardenandHome.com. And we are actually going to be doing a kids gardening video series starting in just a couple of weeks, and we're going to be filming that with someone who is here on the live stream today, California Garden TV, with he and his son and a friend. They're local here to us here in Southern California, so you can check out his YouTube channel as well. So we're super excited to be filming that series with him in just a couple of weeks. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of really fun things coming up for the spring. Okay, guys. We are gonna jump right in here and talk about container gardening. I know a lot of you don't have a lot of space to grow in. Some people do have a lot of space, and some people like to just grow in containers on their deck or their balcony or their patio. Some people like to use containers to expand your growing space, or like me, I like to have some right out here on my deck, just outside my back door. So I wanted to just share. Hopefully you guys, I see some people getting glitches. Refresh your page if you are, and hopefully that will go away, okay? Okay, first mistake that is really common to container gardeners is choosing the wrong container for what you're growing. Okay, it's really important that you have a container that is the right size for the right vegetable that you're growing. So if you're trying to grow a really large size tomato in a small container, maybe like this one, the small 5-gallon smart pots, you might have a little bit of trouble. I mean, it'll grow okay, but you won't get as much production out of it. So you really want to have a large container for the larger vegetables, and use a smaller container for smaller vegetables like this one right here. is a little dwarf tomato, and this is perfect. It's called the Tiny Tim tomato. It's in my small space seed collection, and look at that, there's already little tomatoes on that. Isn't that exciting? And this only grows to about 2 feet, so it's really a perfect size tomato for this container. Now, kind of a general rule of thumb, because I get this question all the time, is how do you know what containers to plant what vegetables in? Kind of a general rule of thumb is if your plant is 18 inches high, you should plant it in a container that's no smaller than 12 inches across. So in other words, perfect size container, that plant will grow to about 2 feet or so, and this container is probably about 12 to 18 inches across. So if you're growing a large tomato, you want to grow it in probably a 10 to 15 to 20 gallon container. That is going to be a lot deeper than that. The new purple Smart Pots is actually a 15-gallon container, but it's only about 8 inches deep. So you wouldn't really want to grow a large tomato plant in it because it just doesn't have enough space for the roots to grow. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea. The smaller containers work great for like lettuce. I do have some mustard greens planted up here in a 20-gallon container, I think, which you probably wouldn't really need a container that big for mustard greens, but I thought it looked really pretty here. This is a green Smart Pots container. So there's so many containers that you can buy. There's plastic ones, ceramic, terracotta, fabric containers. You can even use 5-gallon buckets. Find things around your house that you can recycle, such as old trash cans. The most important thing is, though, you want to make sure they have some type of drainage. Now, you guys know I love the Smart Pots. I garden in those a lot because the container, the fabric, they're made from fabric. Everything drains through really nicely. They air prune, and they're just a really great container to grow in. So if you are looking for some containers to buy, you can pick up the CaliKim ones on my website. They have all kinds of different sizes on their website at smartpots.com. And make sure you use my code CaliKim because then you'll get a 10% discount on your containers. So I'd love to hear now in the chat what type of containers you love to grow in. But please avoid the mistake of choosing the wrong size container for your container plants, and that way you're going to be able to grow a lot more and just have a lot more production to your vegetables. Okay, questions here in the chat. And I know there's a lot of things flying by. I will get to the questions that I can. I'm really sorry that it's hard for me to answer all of them, but I really wish I could, but I'll get to the ones that I can. And here's a question from Brandon, and I want to welcome Brandon. I believe he said it's his first time here on the live stream. So Brandon, thank you so much for joining us, Brandon Shaw. And his question is, how can I protect my containers from strong winds? Okay, we actually deal with that quite a bit here in California, Brandon. We have a ton of wind in the fall usually and in the winter time. And I know California Garden TV is on here and he can attest to that, this year has been especially bad for the wind. What I try and do when it's super windy, I can't cover my whole garden, but a couple containers I usually can. Number one, these containers right here by my deck are they're portable. All these Smart Pots containers are portable. So since they're right here, I can drag what I can inside during times where it's the weather is really windy. Or you can drape some type of a protective covering over your plants. Shade cloth, old sheets, put stakes in your containers and clip on some old sheets to them. Just do what you can to protect them from the wind. It won't completely, shield them. They still might get battered around a little bit, but hopefully it will protect them just a little bit. So let's see if there's any other questions about containers. Here's from James. How is your gardening bed doing with the cover over it? I don't have any with a cover right now, James. I wonder if you're referring to another one of my videos that I did cover up. Oh, we're talking about the carrots or the kohlrabi that I covered during the rain. That actually did really well. We had such heavy downpours that I did drape some shade cloth over a couple of my containers, and they did well until I uncovered them, and then I think some either snails or something like that got into them. Maybe the birds came and kind of picked out some of the seedlings. So in that situation, they didn't do very well, but it did really help protect them from the rain. Okay. A question here from Mary. What about cantaloupe in a container? It's a short plant, but it spreads out far. Okay, Mary, that's a really great question because you can pretty much grow anything in containers that you could grow in the ground. But again, you have to make sure that the size of the container is correct. So you could definitely grow cantaloupe, and I love to grow cantaloupe and watermelon vertically. So you could even put, like I have some DIY tomato cages you might have seen in a couple of my videos. You could even put one of those in a container, and I would suggest probably a container like this one is a 20-gallon. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. This one down here, it's a 20-gallon Smart Pots. This would be great for cantaloupe. I've grown watermelon in 20 gallons. Any larger size vegetables like tomatoes, eggplant, you would want to grow in a 15 to 20 gallon container. And I do have a video series on growing large vegetables and fruits in containers. So make sure you go back and watch that series. It'll give you a lot more details on that. Okay, let me move on to the, another thing I wanted to mention too is, you guys might remember last year we did a whole container. Hopefully you guys can see Mac back there. By the way, if you didn't see my picture on Instagram this morning, he was actually sitting right here. I walked away for a little bit from the deck as I was setting up. He was sitting right here where I'm sitting, staring at the tripod that I had set up to hold my phone and acting like he was going to live stream for me today. So you might want to go over and check out that picture on my Instagram at CaliKim29. It was actually pretty funny. Okay, I was going to mention, we do have a small space garden series we did last year that you're going to find a lot more container gardening tips. It'll give you lots of hints as far as growing vertically, growing up, not out, to really save space if you're not growing in a very large space. So go back and watch that. I think we did maybe 12 or 13 videos in that series, and it'll really help you out there. Okay, first tip, first mistake to avoid. Don't pick the wrong container. Second tip to avoid is, second mistake, is using poor soil, okay? Especially important in containers. Now, you guys all know that soil is really life in the garden. If you have healthy soil, you're much more likely to have healthy plants that are going to produce for you, that are going to be able to, really fend off the diseases and the pests. But it's especially important in containers because they're growing in a restricted space. So their roots aren't going to reach down into the ground like they would in your garden beds to pull up nutrients. So you really do need to have soil that is really good soil. It's definitely worth the investment. Don't skimp on the soil, okay? I know you might be tempted to buy some really cheap potting mix at the garden center. Don't do it. Buy soil that is full of nutrients, and you can look on the back of the package. You want to make sure that it's got some really good nutrients in it. If it's full of worm castings, you want to make sure it's nice and loose and fluffy. You don't want it getting compacted in your containers and really bogging your plants down. You want it to drain really nicely. You also want it to have some properties that help it retain water, because containers do dry out a lot quicker too. So you're going to be watering them a lot more often. So any soil you can pick up that is a lot more water retentive is going to help all that much. Now, you guys know I've used Good Dirt potting mix, indoor and outdoor potting mix in my garden for a couple of years. Absolutely love it. I really feel like that is the best potting mix, and they also have an outdoor soil conditioner on the market. I've used lots of different kinds, and it is just so light and fluffy, and it does cost a little bit more than other potting mixes you might find. However, it is worth the investment because you can use it over and over and over again. I'm on my 4th and 5th planting on some of my containers with the same mix. Usually I just add in a little bit more on top, some worm castings, and make sure I'm watering it with worm tea, and it is good to go. And it just does not dry out and get compacted like other mixes do. Let me show you. I don't know if you guys can see down in here in the soil. It is just so light and fluffy and full of lots of good organic nutrients. You can see how light and fluffy that is. This has been planted in here for just a couple of months, I think. But I don't have to water it too much right now because it's raining a lot. It's been raining a lot, but even in the summertime, when we get a ton of rain, it just retains water so much more, and I have to water my containers with Good Dirt so much less than I do my other containers. And things just grow really, really well in it. So don't skip on the soil. And the great thing about Good Dirt now is they used to just sell it online. Now they are in a lot of Target stores across the country. So check your local Target store, Go online to target.com, I think, enter your zip code, see if it's carried in your local store or in a store near you. And if you can't find it, a lot of times they have special shipping deals online. You can pick some up at good-dirt.com. And I do a code for Good Dirt as well. They offer a 10% discount with the code CaliKim10. So make sure that you buy good soil for your containers. Don't skimp on it. A lot of people do skimp on it and then they end up paying for it because your plants aren't growing. So don't skimp on the soil. Okay, guys? So let's go back to the chat here. And Patsella, I am so glad to see that you found Good Dirt at Target. It is just the best, and I love the fact that now it's more readily available because it's available in stores, local Target stores around the country. And Rod, I love this too. I actually meant to mention that. He's making his own mix of soil, as there is almost no varieties of bag soil, and when there is, it doesn't last in the market. So Rod, thank you so much for sharing that. Rod is watching from Baja, and sometimes if you're in another country, you might not be able to get some of the supplies I mentioned. But Rod, I love how that is not stopping you in the least. You're making your own, and that's a great way to save money as well. And as long as you have really good high quality products that you're using for your DIY mix, then you should be okay. I know it's good to put in coco coir, compost. Worm castings are always good to add into everything that you're planting with. And Rod, that's a great suggestion. So does anyone else out there make their own potting mix as well? Especially when you have a lot to plant in a lot of containers, that's a great way to do it also. Okay, Weaver makes your own too. That's wonderful. It's always a great option. Okay, Angela, hello, welcome to today's live stream. Do you start your seeds in large containers or do you start in small cups or peat pots? When do you move to larger containers? Okay, Angela, great question. And actually we will be putting out a video hopefully this weekend on transplanting your indoor seedlings and when to do that. So I'll give you a little preview. When the weather is right, I definitely will start seeds outdoors, but right now it's been pretty cold. So I'm not starting any warm weather vegetables outside at this point in time, but I am starting some cool weather vegetables like these radishes right here, which are growing really nicely. Those are the Easter egg radishes from the new kids collection. And they like cool weather and they grow really super easy. Lettuce is a great thing to start outdoors right now. If you live where you're not getting frost, you should be able to start some cool weather vegetables outside. Now, as far as transplanting, if you're growing seeds indoors, you want to look for the plant to have a couple of sets of their true leaves. And at that point in time, if the weather's right, you can start making the transition from inside to outside. But if it's too cold, then you want to transplant them into a larger container and give them a little bit of room to grow before you get them out in the garden. So definitely stay tuned, Angela, to this weekend's video as we'll be giving some more details about that. Or you can also go back and watch last year's Spring Garden series for some more information on transplanting if you have some that you do need to transplant in the next couple of days. Okay, a question here from Mary Martinez. How to get rid of worms in planting soil? Okay, if you're talking about earthworms, you don't want to get rid of earthworms. You want to have earthworms in your soil, whether it's in your containers or in your in-ground garden beds, because they add their own natural poop or worm castings to the soil, which is super, super high a nutrient-dense fertilizer. Now, I do add in worm castings to my soil that I purchased at vermistera.com, but you want the worms in your soil all you can because they break up that heavy clay soil and they'll be a natural fertilizer to your plants. Okay, next question from Brandon, and that actually leads into my next point here. Mistake number 3. So first off, we have the first mistake. Don't make the mistake of choosing the wrong container. Second mistake, don't make the mistake of choosing the wrong kind of soil or poor soil. Third mistake that a lot of people do is forgetting to water your containers or forgetting to feed your containers. Now, super important to realize that containers definitely have different watering needs than the rest of your garden. So while the rest of your garden might be on a drip irrigation system or you kind of get into the swing of watering it, you might neglect your containers and forget to water them, but don't do it. They dry out quicker and or you might maybe just water them on the same days you water your regular garden, but containers really need a little bit more attention. You want to check your containers daily. That's number one, to make sure they're not drying out, especially during periods of hot weather, and they're going to need watering in super hot weather, perhaps every day. So make sure they're getting enough water, enough nutrients. That's the other thing, is don't forget to feed them. Okay, maybe you can feed your in-ground garden like once a month, but your containers, I really feel, need watering every 10 days to 2 weeks. And the reason for that is the water and the nutrients drain out of them, because of course you want to have holes in your containers, right? But the water and the nutrients drain through the holes in the bottom, and your containers just need that regular feeding. I mean, just like us, we need regular feeding in order to be productive, to have energy. Your containers do too. So make sure you're watering them, checking them regularly to see if they need water. And guys, it's so easy to check if your containers need water. I have that question all the time. You can use a moisture meter if you want, or you can just simply stick your finger in the soil here like this, pull up a little bit of soil, and you can see the soil here is nice and damp and wet. And if that's the case, you don't need to water. But if the soil is dry, see, well, this is a little bit dry on top, but if the soil is dry, you definitely want to water. So make sure you water and fertilize your containers regularly. Now, I get a lot of questions too on what kind of fertilizer I use. And guys, I want you to know that any products that I recommend to you, I try out in my garden first, because I want to make sure that they work. I don't want to recommend anything that I haven't tried and tested. And I know I don't want you guys to waste money on products that don't work. So a couple things that I use for my containers, every 10 days to 2 weeks, I'll give them a good dose of the Vermistera worm tea. If you guys have watched for very long, you know I use that all over my garden, but it's great in containers, as well as the Good Dirt plant food. And I'll put all the links in the video description where you can get discounts on those products. And I also do add, maybe once a month or so, a little handful of compost or a little handful of the Vermistera worm casting. So make sure you just kind of get your schedule down and fertilize and water your containers on a regular basis. And if you have the time or the ability to do so, just install a drip irrigation system in your containers and make sure it's separate from the rest of your garden, because they're going to need watering a lot more often. Not totally necessary. You can definitely water with your hose or whatever, but it definitely does help to kind of take the guesswork out of it and make sure they get watering on a regular basis. So I'd also love to hear your container watering tips in the chat. And let's see here. Any other container watering tips that you like to do for your containers? I'm going to look for some container watering tips here, or questions, because that's kind of what we're focusing on today. If I don't see any of those, then I'll answer a couple other questions. Okay. Encouraging Hope. Hi. I'm so glad you're encouraging hope. That's awesome. Where can I get those garden planting bags? The ones right behind me here are available on my website, CaliKimGardenandHome.com. They're fabric, they're aerated, they're also fairly inexpensive. If you want other sizes, you can get them at smartpots.com and use my code CaliKim, and it'll give you a 10% discount. Okay, how do you keep animals and plants away from your plants and veggies? From Darlene. I don't always keep them away, but in the wintertime it's a lot easier to keep them away. But in the summertime, the rats always seem to know exactly when the tomatoes are getting ripe, and I try and create some kind of barrier. A lot of times I'll put like a little piece of a t-shirt over a tomato, or you know those little produce clamshells or takeout containers, you can kind of stick those over your vegetables as well. Sometimes I'll cover and wrap a vegetable that I'm about ready to harvest in like a piece of shade cloth. So if you can create some kind of a barrier, that really helps. Lots of different ways you can do that. As far as you can even spray your plants down with water to get rid of bugs. You can use neem oil on your plants to get rid of bugs. And when I go and search my channel, I have all kinds of videos on how to get rid of pests and bugs organically in the garden. Okay, so I think we've done 3 tips so far. Let's do one more tip, and then we'll get back to some more questions and answer as many questions as I can before we sign off here. So the mistake number 4 that a lot of people do when growing in containers is they combine plants with different growing needs in the same container. Now, what I mean by this is we've got our cool weather vegetables, our warm weather vegetables. You might have like a tomato plant right here that loves the warm weather, loves the sunlight. You want to be careful that you don't plant something that maybe is a cool weather vegetable, like for example, like a radish plant, in with a tomato, because radishes are going to, once the weather gets like 80 degrees, they're not going to grow very well. So you want to kind of plant vegetables with similar growing conditions together. So plant your cool weather vegetables with your cool weather vegetables for the best chance of success, and plant your warm weather vegetables with maybe a warm weather herb like a basil in the same container. And they have similar sunlight needs. They both like full sun, and you're gonna get a lot more production out of them. Now, there are some exceptions to this rule, and I made an exception to that right back here in this container, because I planted beans in here, which is a warm weather vegetable, with lettuce and radishes. And one reason why I did that is the beans, the lettuce is a cool weather vegetable. The beans are a warm weather vegetable, but they're gonna grow and shade the lettuce, which will help protect them from the heat. And you know, beans are kind of a medium weather vegetable. Like you could plant them in the spring, in the fall. They don't need super hot weather. They don't really like very cold weather either. So you can kind of experiment a little bit too and plant some vegetables that might provide some shade for some of the cooler weather vegetables underneath to really help extend the life of the cool weather vegetables. So by the time it gets super hot, this lettuce will be harvested, the radishes will be harvested, and I'll probably go ahead and plant some more beans in this pot. And you can kind of combine your plants with different growing needs that way as well. But as a general rule of thumb, plant vegetables with similar growing needs in the same pot. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Let me know if you have any questions on that. And that way you're more insured for success and a lot of good production in your garden. So again, make sure you check out the Small Space Garden series, because we did a whole series on that last year. Planted all kinds of vegetables in containers. It was so much fun, and there's tons and tons of tips in there. And I also have a small space seed collection if you're looking for some compact plants for vegetables. So hope you guys enjoyed those tips there on container gardening. And oh, this is a great comment, Mickey. I love that. It's so exciting to see the seeds pop up. It thrills me every time. Absolutely, I can totally second that. That's one of the great things about gardening, and it's really such a magical experience when you plant something and see it pop up for the first time. These little radish seeds here, actually I think these I planted maybe just a few days ago, and they popped up so fast. And these are from the Easter egg radishes from the new kids collection. Aren't those cute? It's just so much fun to see them pop up. And if you have kids, I would love to hear some ideas for how you like to garden with your kids. And I know there's a lot of people on here that do garden with their kids, and I'd love to hear how you get your kids excited about gardening. Okay, Marcella, hello from Learn to Grow. Looking forward to receiving the Kids Seed collection. Oh, great. Thank you, Marcella. Just checked it out. My littlest one will be so excited to plant them. That's awesome. And Marcella, I would love to see a video, and I know you have a ton of videos on your channel on how you garden with your kids. So I'm actually going to check that out and check out some of her videos too. And you can also check out her Instagram. Marcella, is your Instagram Learn to Grow as well? I'm not sure. I don't remember. Okay. Rocio, for watering, make sure it's easy. No one wants to lug multiple buckets of water midsummer. Absolutely. That's a really good point. You want to make sure that you make things as easy on yourself as possible, because we all get busy, we all forget. And I know if you guys are like me, I've killed plenty of plants in my time, so don't feel bad if you have too. But if you can, try and keep your containers near a water source, either a hose that you can drag over or hook up a drip irrigation system. You don't want to be lugging your buckets in the hot summer to water your containers, because it could be you might be watering every day. Okay. If I don't, this is from Bubblicious, if I don't repot plants timely, do they die, or does it only stump the growth? Okay, they could die if you leave them in a too small of container for too long. A lot of times what happens in a plastic container or in a ceramic container is the roots get root bound. They kind of wrap around the container, and the plant is not able to take up the water and the nutrients that it needs to keep on growing. And it needs all that air too. So it needs to have some room to breathe in a container that's large enough. Now, one thing that I do love about smart pots, and I think someone asked me, what are the benefits of smart pots? Well, the fabric is a huge benefit because it's porous, it breathes. Again, plants need to breathe. What happens in smart pots is the plants don't get root bound. They do something called air pruning. And if you've ever grown in any kind of grow bags or fabric container, you know what that is. But rather than getting wrapped around, they form like a fibrous root ball, and they're still able to take up the water and the nutrients. And then that's one reason why you can grow large vegetables in smart pots, is because of the air pruning. And the fabric is, it's kind of like a felt fabric. It's super, super durable. I've had some of my smart pots for 3 or 4 years, and they're still doing just great. And in fact, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll empty out the soil. If it's good dirt soil, I'll save it because I'm going to reuse it. I'll throw them in the washer, wash them up so they look nice and fresh, and then replant in them again. So they can be used over and over again. If you guys have ever used smart pots, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I definitely highly recommend them. Okay, let's see here. Any other questions? What are the pots made of? Just answered that. Kieran, do you have any tips for hot pepper seeds? Okay. Hot peppers do take a little bit longer to germinate than the sweet peppers. So hang in there, be patient. They can take 2 to 3 weeks to germinate, and you're gonna have a lot better luck germinating them if you place your little seedling tray on a heat mat. So let's see, I know I've got videos on that. You can go back and watch the seed starting video that we just posted a couple weeks ago. Mistakes to avoid when starting seeds indoors. And I always grow my peppers and my eggplant on a heat mat. They really need that bottom heat to germinate. So if you're having trouble with your hot pepper seeds, definitely do that. And you can actually leave them on there throughout the time that you're growing them inside, and it does really help them grow a little bit faster. So hopefully that helps you there. Okay, Susanna, hello. Your question is, how many days after flowering do snap peas take to develop? Well, it really depends on the temperature. Sometimes it feels like it can take a long time, but peas really do like that, those cool temperatures. Under 75 degrees. If it's too cold though, they might grow a little slower, or if it's too hot, they're gonna start to die. So the sweet spot I found with peas is really around probably 50 to maybe 70 degrees. But hang in there. Once you see those flowers develop, it's a really good sign. And pretty soon you're gonna be picking your sugar snap peas before you even get them into the house like I do. Okay, Nisha. Hi, Nisha. I'm thinking to add some earthworms in lemon plant, which is growing in a wine barrel container. It's a dwarf variety. Okay, that's a great idea. And I think I saw a question scroll by earlier. How do you get worms in your containers? You can definitely either add them in, just like Nisha is, or I've actually found some worms in my Smart Pots containers that are more out where my garden beds are. So somehow they work their way in, whether they're crawling up over the sides, whether there's little eggs in there that are hatching and the worms are just having a good old party there in the Smart Pots. But definitely that's a great idea to add some worms into your soil, and they'll add their natural fertilizer in there to their soil. Okay, Christy, thank you so much for popping in the frost date calculator. I get a lot of questions on how do I know when to start my seeds indoors. And for the warm weather vegetables, you want to start them about 4 to 6 weeks inside, or 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost date. And that frost date calculator will help you figure out when the last frost date is in your area. Because you want to kind of time it just right so they're not growing inside too long, getting like root bound, and you have to do a lot of extra transplanting, or running out of grow light space like I am right now because we've had a really cold winter here in California. But try and time it between 4 to 6 to 8 weeks. More like the peppers and tomatoes can go 6 to 8 weeks. And then your cool weather vegetables, like your lettuce, your peas, kale, things like that, you can really start about even 3 to 4 weeks inside, because they're gonna, before your last frost date, because they can take a frost. So you can even get them outside around the time of your last frost or a week or so before, and that way you can get them growing and have harvest that much sooner. So for any questions on seed starting, please go back and watch the Spring Garden series. We posted 2 videos so far, one on seed starting, which will answer a lot of those questions for you. The second one we posted last week is on how to water your indoor seedlings. We posting one this weekend or next weekend on how to transplant your indoor seedlings. We did not get one posted over the weekend because we were so busy getting our new seed collection ready for you guys. So I told you guys we're going to launch it the first of this week, and here it is. So hopefully you guys really like that. So if you are growing any of my seed collections or in any of my containers, whether it's the new purple one, I know a couple of you have already received this one, or in the 5-gallon, I would love to see pictures. Please, you can email me at CaliKim@CaliKimGardenHome.com, or you can tag me on Instagram or my Facebook page at CaliKim Garden and Home. Instagram is CaliKim29. And if I don't respond right away, send me a DM. Let me know that you tagged me in a picture. I don't always see everything that, that flies by, and I would love to see your photos of any of my seeds that you're growing, any of the vegetables, harvest that you're bringing in, or anything you're growing in the CaliKim containers or any of the smart pots. So that's always a lot of fun to see how people are growing all across the country. Okay, let's see a couple more questions here. Learn to grow. Yes, I would love to see some pictures. Okay, Rod, have you done a live stream on flowers? I found some calendula and marigold out there and going to start my sunflowers as well. My nasturtiums are growing quick. Okay, Rod, that's awesome. It's so much fun to plant the flowers with the vegetables, isn't it? And it's so important because it brings in the pollinators, brings in the beneficial insects, which will be natural predators for any of the bad bugs that might visit your garden. And Rod, I haven't done a live stream on that. We did a video a while back on planting wildflowers in the garden, but that is on my list to do this spring, is to do a couple of flower videos, because you can plant some cool season flowers right now. Like the calendulas, the nasturtiums are great spring flowers. And once you get into the warmer months, you can do things like zinnias, black-eyed Susans are beautiful, sunflowers, absolutely gorgeous. So those are always great flowers to add to your garden. So Rod, I will definitely put that on the list. Thank you so much for reminding me about that. Okay, Teresa. Oh, hi, Teresa. Teresa Healy, I meant to answer your comment back this week and I didn't get a chance to. We read a comment from her on last week's video, and it was so wonderful, and she wrote back and said that she would love to have us come visit Ireland, visit her garden. And Teresa, we would love to visit Ireland someday. I hope we get to, because that would be really fun to meet you. And she asked, now what's her question? Oh, do you ship to Ireland? I don't at this point in time, but if you're interested in a particular seed collection, and you don't see shipping to Ireland there on my website, please email me, let me know which collection you're interested in, and I can check into it and see if it will work out for me to ship it to you. Unfortunately, we've had some problems shipping to Australia. Really sorry about that, guys. I know a lot of you live in Australia, but we've had some things that have been returned and haven't gotten through customs in Australia. At this point, I do ship to Canada and London, and of course, all of the US. So if you live in those areas, that's not a problem. Other countries are sometimes a little bit more iffy. So, but send me an email and then I can check into it and see what we can do. Okay, any more questions here? We got a couple more minutes. And yes, everything sunflowers. I would love to go to Ireland with you as well. It would be so much fun. Okay, Luz, hi, how are you, Luz? Thank you so much for ordering the kids seed collection this morning. She was the very first one, guys. Question from Dars. Should I order a soft pot and do a kitchen garden by the house with the seeds I got from you? Okay, I love, Dars, great question. I love having little kitchen gardens right outside my door. This is my back door right here, guys. So I walk outside and I've got these containers here. And usually when it gets a little bit warmer out, we have more sunshine out here and I'm able to get even more containers planted. It's just a lot of fun to step right outside, super convenient for you to, where you're cooking dinner, to run out and grab some herbs or some veggies. So yes, great idea. Now it depends which seeds, I don't remember which seeds you ordered from me. You do wanna make sure, again, it's the right size container for the seed that you're planting. Compact plants like in the small space garden, seed collection do great, and go back and watch that small space series for some tips on that. But yes, I would highly recommend planting seeds and vegetables close to your house. Okay, here, I think I planted my seeds too early. Well, if you think you planted too early, plant more. It's always good to have backups. Okay, Kirian, how do I buy seeds on your website? I was curious about your pepper collection. I don't know how to order online. Okay, if you go to my website, you can click on the tab that says seed collections, and you'll see a little drop down list of all my seed collections. You can just go and click on, I think, collection details. It tells you what seeds are in each collection, and then you can click on buy now if you find a collection that you'd like to buy. I do have a pepper collection if you're interested in that. That's over there. Or if you want the smart pots, you want to click on the smart pots tab, where you can pick up the 5-gallon or the purple with seeds or without seeds. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a tip. And we are hoping to redo our website and kind of revamp it in the next probably 3 to 4 months. So we'll have some new things coming soon on that as well. Okay. Guys, that is going to wrap it up. I know there's so many more questions, and I really wish that I could get to everybody's questions, but it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you here today. Hope you guys are excited about the kid seed collection. I really can't wait to see how everyone's going to grow in them, and I cannot wait to do the kids garden series coming up. We'll be starting that in just a couple of months. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join me here. And we will be live streaming next Monday at the same time, noon Pacific time. So make sure you set a little reminder on your phone. Usually you can check on Instagram in the morning. I'll post on what the topic is. But definitely set a reminder and join us again next week for a lot of garden fun and encouragement and support.